Our US Open coverage is brought to you by Fungiball.
Fungiball is a play to earn fantasy tennis game that seamlessly combines the thrill of professional tennis with the transformative power of blockchain technology.
Allowing tennis fans to collect, trade, and compete with digital cards representing professional tennis players.
Each card is unique, adding a layer of excitement and interaction for both fans and players.
Fungible users have the opportunity to craft unique game avatars to enhance their avatar's proficiency. Users can engage in weekly online tournaments, mirroring the professional tennis schedule.
They can also utilize the Fungiball marketplace to collect and trade digital cards, featuring their preferred men's and women's players.
Fungiball already has 250 tennis players and counting that are officially licensed on the platform through their collaboration with the Professional Tennis Players Association, including
Alexander Zverev,
Jessica Pegula,
Felix Auger-Aliassime,
and a mystery top 5 tennis player is joining the platform this US Open, with more players to be announced each week.
As the on-court performances and results of real-life players fluctuate throughout the tour season, the skills, ratings, value, and rarity of their corresponding Fungiball NFTs also shift.
So what are you waiting for? Join the revolution in tennis gaming. Go to www.fungible.io to sign up now. The link is in the description.
Cryptocurrencies and NFTs are unregulated in some markets, including the UK. NFT profits may be subject to taxation, such as capital gains tax. The value of investments is variable and can go up as well as down. Additional fees may apply.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's US Open Round 1 catch-up, brought to you by Fungiball.
Djokovic wins to avenge his brother's losses.
Coco kicks off New York victory lap in style.
And Dominic Thiem and Danielle Collins' Grand Slam careers end.
Chris, today is the 27th of August. We are here to catch up on round 1 action of the US Open at Tennis Weekly HQ. There's already been quite a lot going on out at the courts at Flushing Meadows in New York. It's very exciting. The final slam of the year is well and truly underway, and we've got loads of results to sink our teeth into already. And it's not even the end of day 2 as we're recording this. Before we get going properly, we do have just a little bit of business to attend to, though. Very excitingly, that is the news that we are on video. So if you would like to watch us, then do head over to our YouTube channel at Tennis Weekly Pod, or just search Tennis Weekly in the search bar on YouTube. We'll be doing all of our US Open episodes as video episodes throughout the fortnight. So don't forget to check us out on YouTube as well.
And remember to like the video if you're watching us on YouTube and you are enjoying it, and subscribe to our channel if you aren't already. You can also become a member of our channel, and any support that we receive from our members goes to supporting the podcast and keeping us doing what we're doing. So we really appreciate all the support.
Absolutely. And Chris, I'm ever so sorry to start with this episode's lead story, because I know it's a grueling matter for you. And, you know, listeners, if you're not over on the YouTube now, you can kind of see for yourself how upset Chris might look. Because Sloane Stephens, Chris, was a set and, well, 6-love, 3-love up, I think it was. And she lost to Clara Burrell in 3 sets. How did you feel when when Burrell finally got that match win, and Sloane just, you know, what was she doing?
I think it's a case where if you're a Sloane Stephens fan like myself, you have to prepare yourself for some truly heartbreaking, and I mean downright very unfortunate losses, because we're always going to support her when she's playing well. It's a joy. That first set was a joy, but the last 2 sets were anything but a joy in terms of the quality of the tennis, unfortunately. And I mean, Sloane really has kind of, as soon as she won that title, and I was thinking, will she win the French Open? Which, I mean, was definitely a bit ahead of myself in that respect. She's completely, her form's disappeared. So I'm hoping there'll be a reset heading into next year, and maybe the Asian swing will be more beneficial for her. But I mean, there's no excuses for not getting it done like that. And maybe the moment got to her. And, you know, the further you are down in your career, sometimes the harder it is to finish those matches.
Yeah, it's just, I think when anyone loses from being, you know, so dominant in the first part of the match, it's always a bit, if they could just go back to when they were,
I
6 love,
know.
3 love, and change certain things. But yeah, I just thought of you. I felt for you because I know you're such a
Thank
big
you.
fan, and I would like to send you a cinnamon bun or something
Oh,
across to Denmark. Although I'm
uh,
sure you've got plenty of them there that are a lot nicer
yes.
than
I'll
here.
treat I'll treat myself to one. I'll pick one up tomorrow
Yes,
morning
it's a
to
good excuse.
yes. But something that did lift my spirits, Kim. I've just seen Naomi Osaka walk onto court in what can only be described as the outfit of the US Open.
I think of the year, not just
Of
the
the
US Open.
It's definitely the punchiest, isn't it? It's almost in Tennis Weekly green, I was thinking, Kim.
Yeah, I don't even
Describe
have
it.
words to describe it. I'm not very good at fashion. I don't feel like I'm a very fashionable person, but it's basically like a frilly lime green sort of skirt, and then
It's
there's a
giving,
big
yeah,
giant
Tinkerbell.
green bow coming off her
Yes,
white jacket.
it's a
Um,
lot. It's very bow
it's
heavy.
it seems like it wouldn't be the best outfit to play in. Like for me, I would feel there's a lot of material going on, flapping around, bit distracting, bit
Mm,
heavy maybe. But I'm sure Nike have designed it with, comfort and style both
yes.
combined,
Well,
I'm
did you see
sure.
the headphones, Kim? Even the headphones are custom Nike with bows on.
Yeah, like frilly bows on the headphones. So listeners and viewers on YouTube, just go and Google it if you haven't already seen it, because it
We
is a
can pop an
different
image
sight
in the
to
YouTube video.
behold.
If you needed an incentive to come and watch us there, we will put an image
Yeah.
in. It's
Will it I
it's
mean,
helping her.
will it be like Stan's shorts from the time
Ooh.
he won the French Open? Because at the moment, it's doing her well. She's a set and 5-2 up on Ostapenko. She's actually got a match point on Jelena
Well, here we
Ostapenko in the
go.
first round. So maybe all she needed was a frivolous outfit to finally, give her that boost, and she's come back at the start of the year.
Well, I remember she did
Let's see.
say, didn't she, when it was Australia, that she was kind of annoyed when she went out early because she said this is a great outfit and I really wanted to wear it more times. So maybe she's learned from that and she's like, right, I've got to get this done. I've got to get the win. And it looks like she's just about to, which would be a huge win for her. But I'm not going to count my chickens too early because I've done that before with that Iga Swiatek match and she was match point up there and it didn't quite pan out. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and even just from Sloane Stephens the other day, we know not to get ahead of ourselves and
Yes, we
assume a
do,
victory
Kim.
is in sight. So I think we'll let Osaka do what she needs to do in that fantastic outfit. And let's look back at all the action from the first day of the US Open, because we did get a complete day of play yesterday. Lots of action going out on the courts. I mean, let's start with, I guess, Mr. Novak Djokovic, because he has begun his bid for a record 25th Grand Slam singles title. He's come in off the back of finally getting that Olympic gold medal, but he's back here on the hard courts of the US Open. And he had a pretty seamless kind of first round
Yes.
match, really. 6-2, 6-2, 6-4 over Radu Albot. I think exactly the way he would have liked to have opened his campaign, would you say, Chris?
Well, he's had a bit of trouble sometimes in the opening matches in Flushing Meadows previously. And I mean, this was very straightforward. I was also going to ask you, Kim, before we get into the tennis, did you see that he actually wore his Olympic gold medal onto court in New York, not for ahead of the match, but on one of the days of warm-up days previously, where there are these sort of events that happen, these fan
Mm.
events. What did you make of that? Do you think I haven't seen Qinwen Jen with hers,
No,
just
I would
saying.
have thought, is it a bit risky? I would have sort of wanted to have
Or
sent it to my
traveling
house
with
and,
it.
and locked it
Yeah.
away, unless it's like a replica or he just doesn't want to part with it because obviously it's so special.
Yeah.
But I personally would have sent it home to my trophy cabinet to be safely kept. If I might have,
Do you have a
what if you
trophy
need
cabinet,
it?
Kim?
I do not.
No, neither do I. I'd
I
have to
don't
build
play
one.
any. I don't have any trophies to win, sadly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the slam
but
spoon of shame, Kim, could be something you could win.
well, maybe I haven't won it yet.
No, true.
So
I've got a
yeah.
whole cabinet full of them here.
But yeah, I'm not so sure I would have done the same as Novak, but it just does show how
How much it meant.
tangibly how much it means, how much it meant. It's that he wants to have it still and show it off, and it's fantastic, really. It's he's definitely, I feel, it's given him that motivation and mojo, I guess, I think, to carry on with his year. I think it's just been pivotal, and I
Mm,
that's why I think he's going to win this title. I think that's why we've all predicted him to
yeah.
win this US Open. And yeah, playing against Radu Albot, Very comfortable victory. I thought it was quite interesting that he said before the match that he wanted to avenge his
Yes.
younger brother's losses to Radu Albot. Georgie and Marco have both lost to him in the past, and well, he definitely did avenge their losses, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he said, I feel like there was so much at stake. I feel like there was revenge from my younger brothers. And I'm just thinking, I mean, he's never played him before, but imagine if you're, Radu Albert, you'd think, I didn't know the Djokovic has had something against me. I never thought the world number one would be this motivated in a round one match against me. But turned out he did the wrong thing by taking on the Djokovic brothers and coming out as the winner in those matches. But it certainly added a little bit of fun to the whole narrative around what was quite a straightforward match, as you've said. And do you think, Kim, this is a renewed Novak Djokovic? It seems like having completed tennis, do you think the motivation that maybe was a little bit wavering in that Wimbledon final and probably I'd say at the Australian Open as well, is it back? Has he, as you said, has he got his mojo back?
I think so. And I think, he's got that Olympic gold medal and now he really is targeting, I think, sole ownership of having the most, Grand Slam singles titles because at the moment he is tied with Margaret Court, who's also got 24 Grand
Mm-hmm.
Slams. So if he was to get 25, that makes him, head and shoulders the individual at the top with the most. So I think maybe he's got back into that swing of things. Like I just want to, carry on getting record after record
Mm-hmm.
because I'm, still fit and healthy. I've kind of got over that knee thing.
Yes.
Got my Olympic gold. Here we go. I mean, some of the other top seeds at the moment aren't particularly doing so well, and we'll get onto those in a bit. So I think it's as good a tournament as any for Novak Djokovic. A bit of a shame Radu Albert wasn't able to get the hat trick of wins over the Djokovic family, but not a surprise there. And Novak will go on to play Laszlo Djere, fellow Serb, in the second round tomorrow. I always feel when he plays fellow Serbians, they kind of maybe they're too much in awe, but I never feel they give him a particularly strong fight. So we'll see what
Yes.
Djere
I
can
think
do there.
sometimes they do get the edge, but I was going to say something that we should probably mention on the Djokovic side of things. I think he's found a white knee sleeve. I've actually seen him practicing in New York with a white knee sleeve. I'm not sure. I didn't manage to catch all of the match. He did actually, I think he did wear it as well for the match. So I mean, almost
New York have
unbelievably,
better shops than London then. You can get different
yes.
coloured knee sleeves
I
in New
mean,
York.
he could wear any color in New York, but maybe that was sticking it to the championships after all, because or maybe it was the one from Wimbledon that took a while to be delivered, most likely.
Maybe. What courier is he using? I'm not going to use that one.
Yes. Could have flown it
L-
over, couldn't he?
well, from one Grand Slam champion to another, though, and well, Grand Slam champion from 2020 at this tournament, Dominic Thiem, who was playing in his final ever Grand Slam match, final US Open match yesterday against Ben Shelton. It was in the end a straight sets win for Shelton. I think in our preview episode we were wondering whether Thiem maybe would get a set or how he would do. But again, very similar to the Djokovic scoreline, just 6-4, 6-2, 6-2 straight sets. But I think that the real kind of, I guess, story of this match was just the fact that it was Dominic Thiem's goodbye, and he did get, a standing ovation from the crowd, and sort of it was marked that this was his kind of farewell. What did you make of the sentiment out on court yesterday, Chris, for that one?
I think it was really nice, and what I really liked about what Team said is that he obviously won his title here in 2020, which was the year when fans couldn't be there. So for him, it was a really nice way to end his Grand Slam career because he was able to hear and see the fans, and he was able to share those words with fans in the stadium because that is a big thing that we don't think about. Obviously, it counts as a slam. He will always have that, but he will not always have the same memories that some of the players have had who've won it since or who won it before. So that's why I think it was particularly nice that it did come full circle. He did get a wild card. I think quite often, these retiring sort of fanfares can go on quite a long time. But I do think that if you've won the title, you definitely deserve a special moment. And he got a special plaque of photos of him playing in New York. So he's been playing there for 10 years, and I think it's very nice he was able to get the send off that he deserved.
Yeah, and Novak Djokovic also had some really nice words to mark the occasion. You can probably get the full script. We're not going to read it out. It's quite a lengthy kind of speech, I guess, that Djokovic gave in press, and
Mm.
just really nice to sort of honor the career that Dominic Thiem's had, and also acknowledge that the injury that afflicted him when he was top three in the world, and how he's had to struggle with that. And yeah, it is. I guess, Dominic Thiem is going to play on. I think he's planning to retire fully in Vienna at home. So we still have a few more tournaments, hopefully, where he's going to be competing. But on a big stage, yeah, we won't be seeing him again, which,
Mm.
yeah, it's a real shame. It just goes to show how injury can really, severely impact a career. But I mean, maybe we'll see him in a different capacity in tennis in the future. I would like to see that. So
Yeah,
yeah, let's wait and see.
absolutely.
On the women's side, yesterday we did have some opening wins for, well, Arina Sabalenka, who's obviously one of the favourites for the US Open. She was up against Priscilla Hon, straight sets victory, quite comfortable, quite confident in terms of her performance out on on court yesterday. Sabalenka finalist last year. Chris, what did you make of her opening match?
I think she got it done. I think that was what was important for her. It feels like she really is on a mission to right the wrong of the final last year. She got so close and she did waver in those big moments. And I think we saw that quite a lot at the slams last year. Obviously, she did win Australia last year. She won Australia this year, but she did make it so I think she made the semi-finals at every slam. And so many of those matches she could have won. So I think for her, it's about putting herself back in those positions. She obviously missed Wimbledon. There's going to be a bit more focus on this slam than potentially there would have been had she got some ranking points and a good result at Wimbledon. Um, but the serve wasn't quite where it was in Cincinnati, would be the only thing that I would say. She did win 72% of first serve points and she made 60% of first serves. But she wasn't quite as aggressive as you might have thought off the return. She only actually had 7 break points, but her opponent actually only made 49% of first serves. So it seems like she needed to get the job done. And we've seen from Iga today that we'll talk about a bit later. It is just about getting the wins in the first few rounds.
Mm.
She's got it done. There's room for improvement, but job done.
When your opponent's not serving great and serving those numbers, it lets you off the hook a bit, doesn't
It
it? So
does.
it's you just got to be the better player in terms of the two of you out there. Sabalenka obviously coming in from having won the Cincinnati Masters just recently. She's she's the third player on tour on the WTA tour that has kind of the most wins on hard courts this year. So she's in the top three. Do you know, Chris, who
Ooh.
the top two above her are?
I'm
In
gonna
terms of
guess Iga,
match
obviously.
wins. Iga Swiatek, yeah, she is one of them. She's got 25 wins on hard courts this year. Sabalenka's on 24, but there is a player out on top with 26 wins.
Who
Any
can you give me a
ideas?
nationality? Give me a is
USA.
it can't be is it Coco?
It's not, no,
Oh, tell
surprisingly.
me.
It's Emma Navarro,
Is it?
which surprises me, yeah. But I
Because
imagine that comes from some sort of
lower
lower level
tournaments, yeah.
events.
She plays a lot on the tour, so
Yeah,
maybe it's
she's
that,
very
but still,
consistent.
yeah,
Yeah,
right
so
up
somewhat
there.
surprising. Absolutely. Yesterday, we also saw Olympic champion Qinwen Zheng come through. She had a really tough opener against Amanda Anisimova, who obviously has been in really good form on the US hardcourt swing recently, getting to the Toronto final just a few weeks ago. But Anisimova, some of us had predicted her, I think, to go into like the
I
quarterfinals
think
here to go on a bit
quarterfinals,
of a run, but
yes.
she did lose from a setup to Zheng. So yeah, Zheng kind of proving that her success in Paris maybe continuing somewhat here onto the hard courts. What did you make of this one, Chris? Were you surprised with this result, or did it kind of go similar to maybe what you thought, a bit of a three-set battle?
I did think that Anisimova wouldn't be able to play the level across 3 sets. And I think that's a little bit what happened here. She played so well in the start of that match. I think she went 5-1 up. She was painting the lines. Zheng said afterwards there was nothing she could do against her. And Anisimova is that sort of shot maker where she can take the ball away from you. You can completely have the racket taken out of your hand. But what's impressive about this is that she was able to turn it around and find a way to get herself back into the match, to make it uncomfortable and to impose herself. So coming through 6-2 in the third set, there was a bit of a wrist injury potentially for Anisimova, which might have helped.
Mm.
But either way, it's these sort of matches that she wasn't winning in Paris well, she won in Paris, but I mean in Roland Garros and at Wimbledon. So hopefully she can have another deep run here, because when she is playing her top tennis, we've seen her beat Swiatek, we've seen her beat top players, and it's great to see. So I'd love to see her really push forward again and make the quarterfinals or further here again.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But I mean, Zheng, looking at her, she, has only actually won one hard court match coming into this, but she's the Australian Open finalist from earlier this year.
Yes.
So we know her form on a hard court. We know that she now knows that she can go deep at slams and that she's won a big title. So those two things really in her breakout year, where she's really announced herself at the sort of
It's
latter
not a bad year, is it?
ends and higher stages. Yeah, it's a great year. Will she be able to make it even greater by doing something magical here at the US Open? Let's wait and see. But yeah, a bit of a shame for American fans that Anisimova wasn't able to kind of back up her recent form. But coming up against the number
It's a
7
really
seed
tough
Zheng,
draw.
it is a tough draw. Outside court action from yesterday. I guess one thing, Chris, to kind of when my eye is drawn as I was kind of looking through all the results, and I'm really sorry because this is a bit of a home favorite for you where you are
Mm.
based in Denmark, but Holger Rune losing in straight sets to Brandon Nakashima, who is playing at home in front of his home fans. What did you make of that and the nature of the defeat? 6-2, 6-1, 6-4.
It wasn't good, was it? And I think it's a real sort of problem result for Holger. I think it really cements where he is this year. He's 7-4 at the slams, and he hit 30 on forced errors to 19 winners and made just 39% of first serves. I mean, this is really not good. He did say that his leg wasn't necessarily feeling great for this match, but I think it was his knee, he said, actually. But you have to
Mm.
you have to think, if you are not fit to play, then you shouldn't be playing. You've got to try and peak at the big tournaments. And that's what he was talking about so much last year. And that's not what he's done this year at all. He's not been past the fourth round. So I think with all the changes and the chopping and changes that have been in his camp with his coaches, with his mother playing a different role, I do think it's a bit of a Tsitsipas situation where I don't think it helps her always being there. And I think he actually does need to get himself a proper team, a consistent team, a team that he can rely on in those moments, because it just feels like whoever's making the decisions from a business perspective is telling him to play too much. And then when he is on court, his mother and his team are not necessarily keeping him calm or giving him the reassurance that he needs. So it's a long and far cry away from being considered in the same bracket as Sinner and Alcaraz, which I think some people thought we would be. But I mean, what would you say based on this? Do you think that he does need to go a bit back to the drawing board in terms of his setup or in terms of how he plans his seasons?
Yeah, I think less is more, and I think a change of environment, maybe doing some deep diving, some soul searching into really what isn't happening. And I think sometimes you just need to take a bit of a pause to be able to really analyze what's happening for you. When you're very much in the midst of it, you can't always get that perspective that you need to reflect. So I think actually maybe having an early loss here will force him to take some time out and to look at that. So it could be a blessing in disguise. We've often seen players have abysmal performances at slams, go out really early, and then they've kind of turned it around. So I think hopefully for Holger Rune and his family and his camp and his fans, they'll be hoping that something good can come from this, because it's not going particularly well at the moment. You mentioned Tsitsipas as well, Chris. He's actually
Mm.
lost today in 4 sets to Thanasi Kokkinakis. Many people were looking at this match as quite an exciting first round, but were you expecting Kokkinakis to get the win today, or were you surprised by
Well, I think
Tsitsipas not
in some of
getting the
those
job done?
very close matches, Tsitsipas definitely doesn't have the best record of getting it done. Not Tsitsipas, sorry, Kokkinakis. Lost a lot of epics. I think when it comes to Tsitsipas's form in New York, he's actually 6-7. He's now 6-8. He's actually lost more than he has won at this slam. I think it's the nature of the balls and the court. It doesn't work for his game at all. But I mean, if you look at his season, he's only made the quarterfinals at the French Open. Apart from that, he's had a fourth round, a second round, a first round. So someone else is in a very similar situation to Holger Rune, but further down in his career, later on in his career. So you have to think with this team change, it would have been a lot for him to come in here and put in a fantastic performance. But I guess now for both of them, it's about setting themselves up for next season and those big tournaments and getting the right team, the right structure in place so they can have another great result. Because I think for both of them, the talent level is so there. And for Kokkinakis, it was a pretty good seed to draw in round one. And it does give you the opportunity to then grow into the draw, because that's obviously a seed who was predicted and expected to make it to the fourth round, but in a tough section of that draw. But something else I was seeing is there's an upset alert at the moment, Kim. Yannick Sinner is a set and a breakdown to Mackenzie McDonald.
I mean, yeah, 6-2, 1-love. I saw that Mackenzie McDonald was a breakup in the first set. I think Sinner managed to claw it back, and then Mackenzie has, broken straight back, taken that set. That would really be a turn up for the books if Mackenzie McDonald can get this win. I mean, it would be, the biggest win of his career, I guess.
Upset.
It would be mammoth for the draw, for sure. And
collector set.
And collector set. I mean, I haven't got Sinner going to the quarterfinals, I don't think.
You haven't. You were the only person who didn't predict that. And a lot of people.
I didn't predict round one, though. I wasn't thinking he'd go out now.
You didn't have to predict round one, did you, apart from in collector set?
No, I think we might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves, though.
Yes,
because it is still early days.
Yes.
So we won't panic just yet. Just looking over at other results from yesterday, also a terrible result for Maria Sakkari, who I think retired from her match. So obviously not great for her. She's just had her slams, just a lot of woe for her in slams, especially. We hope she can kind of catch a break at some point. Lulu Sun also retiring. She got to the final, I think, was it Monterey last week?
Yes.
And obviously physically she's, not at the races
to
here.
Back it up.
I know Joel had predicted her to, I think, go
pretty deep, I think,
to the quarters maybe here. We also, though, for the Brits, we had a win for Harriet Dart yesterday, which was great over Chloe Paquet. Katie Boulter has come through today over Sasnovich. So 2 British women into the second round. But we did have a loss for Jan Chwinski against RCB, Carballes Baena, in the 5th set yesterday. So a bit of a shame. Chwinski coming back from 2 sets, taking it into a 5th, but not able to get the job done and complete the comeback, sadly. But yes, a whole load of other results. I mean, a win for Krejcikova, Wimbledon champion as well. So hopefully she's got some Lego to reward herself for each win she gets here to make her way through. Funnily enough, I was at a friend's house on the weekend and they like doing Lego, and they had a lot of Lego sets, including one of the Statue of Liberty. And as soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, I wonder if Barbora has tried that one yet. So let's see. But we're going to take a very quick break now, but do join us in the second half, where we'll be looking at all the action so far from day 2. And we'll be also unveiling our own collect a set predictions. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast and our US Open round 1 catch up, brought to you by Fungiball. Let's take a look at the action so far that we haven't already looked at, because we had Coco Gauff opening her title defense with quite a comfortable win, 6-2, 6-love over Varvara Gracheva. Really good performance actually from Coco Gauff. She said it's the best tennis she's played in a while, which is, fantastic for her as a defending champion, just over an hour out on Arthur Ashe. But actually, Chris, before we get into the actual complexities of the match, although perhaps there weren't so many complexities as it was quite a straightforward match, there were some comments actually made by Ben Shelton about Coco Gauff, and I thought they were quite interesting, because he was saying that one of the reasons she's so popular or such a big name is because she's got that name Coco. It's a bit of like a brand bonus benefit to her. It's an iconic kind of name. You just know her as Coco. And when you've made it when people were referring to you just by your first name, Madonna, for example, she's just Coco.
Yes.
But also another interesting comment, he said that she plays a bit like a male player, and that is also somewhat responsible for why she's quite popular with the fans. What do you make
Mm.
of that aspect of the comment that Ben Shelton made?
Well, I think he was asked in quite like a laid back environment, and maybe he didn't really consider what he was saying before he said it because, saying she's charismatic, such a great athlete, so many qualities out there on the court that resemble a male player, the way she moves, the way she can defend. And I think he's trying to pay her a compliment here, but I do think it doesn't come across in a great way because
Mm.
saying that she is so well liked and so popular because she resembles a male player isn't really a glowing testimony of women's tennis. It's more just saying because she plays like the guys do, she's therefore much more watchable and much more liked. And because she's got a fun name, which I'm just like, well, maybe she's just really good at tennis and she was so good, so young that she's actually a story that people have followed and willed her on to be successful because of just how much promise she showed in that first Wimbledon and what she's achieved, being top 10 for so long. And she's only just 20 and then winning the slam on top of it. So I'm hoping that when she said resembles a male player in terms of like potentially a male sort of counter puncher, someone who can defend really well. I think we see some of the best defensive games are on the men's tour quite often. I think her game is quite rare on the women's tour to be that good at defending. But then at the same time, if it's saying charismatic and a great athlete like a male player, then I've got a bit more of an issue with it. But I mean, what's your take? Is it borderline on the misogynistic side of things, or is it just a bit of a flippant comment got a bit wrong?
I can definitely view it in like through a sexist lens. When he's sort of saying, I mean, to give Ben Shelton his due, he has said that she's, a great athlete, and he has said that she's, I think he's obviously really a big fan of hers and values her and what have you. But maybe he hasn't worded this in the best way when you see it written there on paper, because yeah, saying that, she resembles a male player and the way she moves, the way she can defend, and saying that as in terms of like her qualities, it's almost saying that's the ideal, that's the ultimate, is to be like a
Yeah.
male player. And it's
Resemble, not even better
yeah,
than. Yeah.
it's
Attribute to.
like it's like saying the male player is the default, and then
Mm,
if you're a female player, you're other, you're deviated from the default, and
mm,
that you should try to be as much as possible like the default, when actually you should just be yourself and embrace who you are. And it's just, yeah, looking at it through, I guess, a male lens,
yeah.
as simple as that. And I just don't think it was, yeah, so a bit toneless,
Yeah.
maybe,
It's not helpful,
to
is
the
it?
audience.
In his defense, the only thing I can think of is I know that Bianca Andreescu, when she was coming up on the tour, her coach actually made her watch so much challenger men's tennis from the lower levels of the tour. And
Mm.
that was so that she had a more complete game because her coach at the time said that this is where you really have to learn how to win and you're fighting for every point. And I think that was something that he didn't believe existed quite so much at some of the lower levels of the women's side of the game. I think there's a lot more plan A sometimes being executed. Whereas I think there seems to be the retrieving skills. You can see there is something maybe in that Bianca's got a lot of variety. She plays with a lot of pace, spins, slices, drop shots, lobs. And that's actually something that she actually did try and emulate, that sort of style of play. Obviously, it did get her a slam, but since then, it hasn't been quite as successful with the injuries that she's had. But maybe there is that element that could be kind of giving the benefit of the doubt, in this case, Kim. But I mean, probably Ben and his like PR and agent would just be thinking, Ben, why did you have to
Cringe. Why have you said
say it?
that?
You could just say
Leave
because
gender out of it.
she's the best person that or just say something really like nice in that moment because there are so many glowing sort of reasons why I think she's so popular. I mean, why do you think the story became so popular? Obviously, winning the US Open at home helps, doesn't it, Kim?
Yeah, and I think the fact that she broke onto the scene so young,
14.
we've already known her for what, 5 odd years. She's becoming a household name, and a lot of people I know who don't really watch that much tennis, they do know who she is because she has also been quite active outside of the tennis space as well. But I think that his comments about what her parents named her, as if it's sort of always been this sort of long-term branding game. That's why they've sort of like nicknamed her Coco and stuff.
Yeah, call me Coco. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I guess I can see where he's coming from with that, but I don't know. I think you can kind of analyze it, and sometimes people just have that kind of star quality as well, which I do think she
She
has got.
does in bucket loads. And I think the whole
Absolutely.
triumph against some of the results not coming and a lot of people saying they weren't going to come. I think even us at times maybe were doubting that she would necessarily get the slam after some of the results that she had last year. And she proved everyone wrong. And I think that's also that sort of character that really means she is so loved because she was able to do it despite people maybe not thinking that she would. She said all the haters fueled her fire. So maybe, not saying Ben's a hater, but maybe this will fuel her fire because she was doing a victory lap yesterday on court, Kim, when she took out Garacheva, and that was a pretty straightforward match for her. And I mean, she definitely did defend very well. She moved very well, and she did play like a great athlete to get that result. But it seemed like she was super focused out there. But also, what was quite nice is that she acknowledged the fact that it had been a bit tough, but she saw a TikTok, Kim, that gave her US Open perspective. So this is also why I think she's so liked because of these candid comments that she makes and how much she is. I mean, she is Gen Z. She is of that generation. She's very relatable in that sense that she said she saw a TikTok. Someone commented on a TikTok saying, "You've won in life, literally and figuratively, and there's no point in piling pressure on yourself on a victory lap." And so she said she's just treating this tournament like a victory lap, not like there's something to defend, because she's already won something, and that's what defending means. Well, I think that's great, and I think it's actually quite refreshing to take a completely different perspective from trying to live up to the hype of last year and actually just enjoying being back.
Yeah, I think that line she said about if you defend something, that means you won something, and it's sort of reframing it to put a bit less pressure on yourself and actually to just appreciate that success from last year. And you think, yeah, I've already won it, so let's just go out there and see if I could win it again, but not sort of be too daunted by it. And we saw like Vondrousova at Wimbledon, the pressure and the
Mm.
excruciating pressure that she felt to turn up and defend and try to put herself out there when she wasn't ready. And it just,
Raducanu, similar thing, you could say.
exactly. And it's just actually quite a refreshing attitude and vibe coming from Gauff. And I think we saw that in the victory on court that she, was so much better than what we saw from her in the Olympics, at Cincinnati, Toronto. Like she's not had that form. She's really struggled lately, but hopefully being able to reframe it. And it might just be, yeah, something simple like a comment on a TikTok that's
Yeah.
made her think differently. So yeah, it just goes to show that, yeah, sometimes social media does have an impact. And, this was a fan leaving a comment. So, you know, I guess, she's got many fans and
So many
people
comments
do
are coming.
people
Yeah.
do read the comments. Yeah, and they
Yeah.
can be really helpful. So yeah, let's see how she will do. She's got Tatiana Maria in the second round. So let's see if Coco can keep the performance levels up for that and beyond. We're going to look at what's happened today so far. As we're recording this, there is still a couple of hours of action still in Flushing Meadows to go. But today, so far, Chris, we have already seen Felix Auger-Aliassime go out in straight sets. We've also seen Iga Swiatek have a bit of a battle on Arthur Ashe earlier on to win. We've seen Danielle Collins lose. So this is also her final US Open. We thought she might be able to go further. And we've also seen Naomi Osaka, I think, has finally won,
She has
Chris.
6-3,
Got the
6-2.
job
She came
done.
through. It's her first top 10 win in 4 years. What an unbelievable result for her. And I have to say, I was looking at the scores whilst we were recording. So if my attention looked like it had dropped, if anyone's watching this, that is why. But what a performance. She won 80% of first serve points, 75% of second serve points, 19 winners, 5 unforced errors. And Ostapenko didn't play badly, 21 winners, 21 forced errors. That's pretty tidy. But 9 aces, 0 double faults. This feels like the Naomi Osaka of old
Of
in many
old.
ways. I mean, not she's not old, obviously, but um, what a fantastic return for her, because I think based on some of the results she's had recently, people thought this would be a step too far. The draw will now open up for her slightly. I think she is in a tough section of the draw. We did talk about how tough this draw is. I think actually I'm taking that back. It's Mukova next, I believe. So every single round, it's such a tough opponent. So I guess it's a match at a time, but this has got to be hugely promising for her, beating, I mean, Ostapenko in an hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's the outfit. It's doing its magic already. So
She
I
didn't,
look forward to seeing
bow out
Osaka.
with her
Oh,
bow. There we go.
oh dear. That's a bad one, Chris,
Yeah,
but
it's
I'll
not my
I'll give it to
best.
you.
Okay.
um,
Don't watch
however,
this back.
however, one player who has struggled a little bit to come through today is Iga Swiatek. She did come through in straight sets, but she did have to save 3 set points in a second set tiebreak over Kamila Rakhimova, who's actually a lucky loser. So yeah, not smooth sailing for Iga Swiatek. She did go out to 4-love lead initially, but Rakhimova, who I think has had some recent, decent kind of results of late, she pushed her hard, and yeah, Swiatek getting through, but in terms of like first rounds, I don't know. Are you gonna put your money on Swiatek for this tournament, or sort of showing some early worries, maybe, Chris?
It definitely wasn't great. I tuned in and saw some of that second set. She did serve for it, and then she wasn't able to close it. This is obviously a lucky loser, and sometimes you do just see these inspired performances from people who
Mm.
already thought they've been, eliminated from the tournament. They've literally got nothing to lose, and playing against the world number one, I mean, less than nothing to lose. It's everything to gain. The only time where I really thought that the performance did dip from Rakhimova was actually when she was 6-3 up in that tiebreak with 3 consecutive set points. Um, I think Iga looked pretty relaxed in those moments. She looked focused, and it didn't look like she was going to hit an unforced error. She wasn't going to give it to her opponent. She's way too good for that. And a few sort of sprayed errors that happened, a missed return, an unforced error, and then actually another unforced error led to the fact that Iga was able to turn it around in that big moment. I think she'll be pleased she didn't have to play a third set, but she did say afterwards she will be looking to get more rhythm as it goes. It's good to get a word on Arthur Ashe. It's good to play on Arthur Ashe at such a big stadium, but she will have to up her level. And I mean, at times in New York, she has seemed a little bit more vulnerable than at some of the other slams, a bit like in Australia. But again, like with Sabalenka, always good to get the win, always good to make it through the early rounds. And now she improves her record to 21-1 in first round matches. So she's pretty handy. And in those moments, you can see why she's still back herself.
Absolutely. And she will play Aina Shibahara, a qualifier from Japan, in the next round, because Shibahara came through against Daria Saville in a last set tiebreak earlier today. So that was a close match there. In terms of other big names from women's game, Danielle Collins losing to Caroline Dolehide, so fellow American, in 3 sets. A really, I guess, disappointing for home fans, because I think people were really hoping DC would go on a bit of a run here.
Yeah.
And she looked like she kind of wanted to get off court quite quickly. She didn't really want to wait around for a nice little kind of retirement ceremony, which was again a real shame. She obviously felt that she was expecting herself to kind of go further as well here.
Yeah. And it's a big shame. She started so well. It's very much like Sloane Stephens. She raced to that first set 6-1, and then she found it a lot more tricky. Her opponent did up her level, Dolehide. She's a good player. She's probably just outside the seeds here. She's had some good runs at tournaments. I mean, last year she made the final of a 1,000 in Guadalajara, which was a big result for her. But it's not the way you want her to bow out. She normally plays so well in front of home crowds this year. She won Miami. She won in Charleston. That was her home tournament. And I think potentially the frustrations are just getting to her at this point. It's been a really intense year, a lot of focus. There's been a few results that haven't gone the way that she might have wanted to, including the Wimbledon match against Krejcikova. That was a tough one. And then after that, there's been a number of other results that I think potentially she hasn't been playing her best tennis in those moments. So maybe it is a case that you can want something to go too well, and maybe you have to ride the wave. And she the wave happened for her a bit earlier in the season than it was now. But I mean, it's not a great look when you're being chased to try and give you the flowers by the tournament director, who
I
wants to
was
say a
gonna
few words
say,
about your performance. She ran off the court.
yeah, that's not good. I mean, you've got the tournament directors waiting there with a big bouquet of flowers,
Yes.
farewell gift. You walk off. It really isn't good for the fans, the tournament. Do you think Danielle Collins is going to regret that moment and how it looked,
Oh,
to the sort of to the nation or whoever was watching? I
she
just feel
yeah, I mean,
it's a
she
bit
wears her heart on her sleeve,
rash.
and I do think that that's one of the reasons why she's so liked. And I think that a lot of times she said that people expect women to behave a certain way, and she
Mm.
doesn't subscribe to that at all. So I kind of there's part of me that thinks, you know what, she wasn't feeling it. She didn't want to do it at that moment. She's playing the doubles. Maybe she'd do something nice after that when there's been a better result, and she'd also have the camaraderie of whoever she is playing with. Um, but at the
Is she
same time,
playing with Caroline Garcia? I
I
think
think
in the
she
doubles.
is.
I
Two
think she's
faves.
playing.
One of Joel's faves and one of
Yeah.
your faves. Well, they're both out of the singles.
I was
Garcia's
gonna
just lost
say,
as
has
well.
Garcia lost? Yeah, to
He has.
Zarazua. So
Um,
that's a bit of a shame for
Not a great
Garcia
result,
fans.
but as we said, she was in Portugal
She was
having a
in
nice,
Portugal,
yes, she was having a
so
nice time at a
there you go.
hotel. So maybe they'll do better in the doubles. There'll be a story there, but it's not a great look because sometimes you don't get your best result and you still have to have a ceremony. I mean, Andy Murray lost to what was it? John Peers and Rinky.
Hijikata.
Yeah, and that wasn't the best performance. Then you have to have this whole fanfare. But I mean, it depends on where you're minded. I think it's very Danielle Collins, and I think that's actually kind of an iconic moment when sort of director's chasing you out because you run in your own time. And I think there's
Maybe that was
something
all part of the plan. She wants to go out on her in her own way, and that is how
that's the
it
legacy.
ends.
Yeah, no flowers. Maybe she's allergic to flowers and didn't take her antihistamines.
I mean, she could have grabbed them and just like whacked them on the
Yeah,
court and had
actually,
like
that would have been
petals
fun.
going
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
That could have been a scene. I would have
yeah.
quite liked
Be
to
a
see that in
meme.
a funny way.
Exactly.
But a couple of other, I guess, maybe surprising results. I mean, I don't know. Felix Auger-Aliassime losing in straight sets to Jakob Mensik. I thought Felix was, on for something here potentially because he had a better Olympics. He's had
Yes.
bit of a better results lately. But yeah, straight sets easy for Jakob Mensik by the sounds of it. Disappointing. I think some of us had thought he would go further.
Me.
Um,
I did, Kim.
you,
Yes. Yes, it
some of
was.
us. I was
Yeah,
trying
some of
to
us was literally
hide your
me.
shame there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um,
um,
it is a shame, isn't it? I think Felix is one of those players who can play the best rally you've ever seen and then miss the easiest shot in the world. And in this match, I mean, he didn't even make it competitive, which is a big shame. I think there's going out in a tough first round and there's not really showing up to the races. And it does feel like this was one of those results because we all know how good he is. And that is the frustration, is because he does have these great results. He does have these fantastic moments, but these are not the norm at the moment. Um, and I just
they
think
are few and far between,
few
aren't
and far
they?
between.
Sadly.
Exactly.
But Mariano Navone, he's recorded his first ever hard court win. What place to do it?
Amazing.
US Open against Daniel Altmaier. See, David Goffan's won over against Tabilo as well, so that's nice for Goffan. Hurkacz in straight sets today. And yeah, Mukova through to face Osaka as well, as we said. Yannick Sinner update. He's a break up in the second set, so I
There
think
we
crisis
go.
may be averted. She
People listening
says.
will have been screaming at us, being like, it's not over. Or they will know the result probably.
They'll know
They'll
the
think that
result
we're
by now.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Ooh. But we've still got obviously the night session still to come. So I know many people listening to this will already have happened. So we are previewing something that's already happened. But we do have Bianca Andreescu against Jasmine Paolini. That's a really, really fantastic encounter. Carlos Alcaraz against two as well to finish up on Arthur Ashe. And then Louis Armstrong, we've got Sonego Paul followed by Rogers Pagula. So yeah, loads of Americans in action on Louis Armstrong this evening. Chris, any thoughts on the remaining
Remaining.
matches? I've just made up a word.
Well, we've got another retiring player in Shelby Rogers. This will be her last tournament, I believe, as well. So I don't think she's necessarily going to be competitive in this, but it's very nice they have given her that moment on, I believe that she's on Arthur Ashe as well. So That's a
Have
very
they got a
nice.
bouquet of flowers lined up for her then as
Well,
well?
someone might need to say you need to take it, or maybe JPEG could take it, accept on her behalf. We could do one of those that they have at awards sometimes.
Or they might just give her DC's flowers,
Well, at least,
seeing as she didn't
yeah.
collect them.
Or
Yeah.
maybe the tournament director's going to put them up in her house instead because you can't give them away to someone else, I imagine. But no, I think that could be a nice moment. I think Alcaraz will come through quite comfortably. And I do think that in the matchup of Sonego and Paul, I think obviously Sonego is coming here with the title. Normally, the week
Yeah.
before, it doesn't always translate to a fantastic result. So we'll have to see. I think Tommy Paul will probably still be okay in that sort of environment. But the big one, who's going to win? Former champion Andreescu versus two-time Grand Slam finalist and Olympic doubles gold medalist Jasmine Paolini.
Yeah, it's tricky. I originally I was thinking Paolini, but I think Andreescu 6-4, 7-6 might come through.
I think
I
she
can't
might be
remember what I said in the
inspired.
preview though.
I can't remember what we said, and I've tossed and turned on this. I think I put Paolini coming through on my initial thought, but then I always have that moment. Same with Osaka, when you start watching those champions play, you just think, get the form book out, bin it. It's about those moments who can raise their game. And I think if she can do it, she does have the game to do it in those moments. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that, and also looking forward to seeing Emma Raducanu later.
Yes, she's up against Svea Kenin first round action. I think it's going to be it's quite late British time, isn't it?
It's
So,
like the night match
um,
on Grandstand, the unofficial night
yeah,
match.
the
Yeah.
unofficial night match. So former champs in action. Yeah, we look forward to those final results of the day. We do have some announcements as well. In terms of collect a set before we sort of finish up for today. So thanks to everyone who's entered. Good luck with all your predictions. I wish you all well.
Well, not
Thanks
too
for
well. We don't
taking
want them to beat
part.
us, Kim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there does need to be a winner at the end of it.
Yes.
So I hopefully someone especially will do well.
Yes.
But we do have our own picks to reveal, and we will be sharing Joel's as well because he's not wasn't able to join us today. So yeah, shall we do our picks, Chris? So
Yes.
we've got Sinner, Berrettini, TFO, Pagula, Paolini, and Vekic.
Yes.
Actually, so Paolini, I think we've
I
all
think we've actually, I
essentially
just
put
looked at
her
this. We
winning.
said, I wonder what's going to happen, but I think we're just believers, aren't we? But
Yeah,
we have
hedging
had,
our bets.
yeah, but I think we've all, may as well start with Paolini then. I think we all thought she wasn't going to do what she did at the French Open of Wimbledon because Joel has her going out in round three. I have her going out in round two. And
I've got her going out in round 4, but
round
we've all got her
four,
beating Andreescu in that case. So let's
yes.
see.
So we need to stick to that. With Pagula, I actually think that Pagula might go out to Raducanu. So I put her out in round two. And I think Joel put round four.
And I've round 4 as well. So I'm with Joel on that one. I can't remember who she's losing to
I'm
in
just
round 4,
thinking,
but
did you put round
that's
four for everything? That would have been quite an easy way of doing it.
I've put round 4 for quite a lot of them actually.
Yeah.
Vekic, so our other female pick, I've got her going out in the third round.
Oh,
Chris?
I went quarterfinal, but I'm pretty sure that Joel put quarterfinal.
He
But
did,
then
yeah.
in his predictions, he actually put her going out before the quarterfinal. So he's doing what we sometimes do, where you hedge your bets. One thing
Cheeky.
for collector set, one thing for our predictions.
Yeah. What about Yannick Sinner then, who's, struggling a bit so far? I've got him going out in the fourth round. I think to Tommy Paul, I think that
That's
was.
the earliest loss, I think.
Hmm.
I've gone quarterfinal, Joel's gone semi-final.
Okay. Berrettini, I know he's won his first round already. But how far do you think he's going? I said the second round.
That's not very optimistic. I
I
think Joel
know.
said the second
Sorry.
round as well, but he does play Taylor Fritz. So I do
That's the
forgive you
one.
that.
Yeah.
And I went for round four because I think Berrettini is going to do a run here.
Well, he did get to the semi-final here before,
Yes, he
I
did.
believe,
His
when Rafa
breakout
won
tournament. Yeah.
2019. So, he has form. And Francis Tiafoe, finally, last but not least, I've got him going out in round 4, I think.
I have the same, and Joel has round three. So we're actually quite
Quite similar.
similar. Yeah,
Yeah.
across the board. None of us have really gone. No one's predicted a final for any of the players, and no one's
Gone quite
predicted a
early.
winner, and only
Yeah.
one semi-finalist in Yannick Sinner. So we will have to see. I think we have had a tendency to go a little bit too optimistic in collector set, and we're hoping to learn from the errors of our ways.
We don't have much faith this time round, but let's see. But thanks to everyone who's submitted your predictions already. Good luck. The winner will get a very special Tennis Weekly prize. So lots to play for. And yeah, good luck, everyone. I think that brings us to an end of our round one opening catch up. Listeners, I do hope you've enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to stay up to date on all the action over the next couple of weeks from Flushing Meadows. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all major podcasting platforms out there. So if you like what you're hearing, then do make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Plus, like and subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes from us.
You can also follow us on social media or email the show. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. And remember, we will be on video and we'll be sharing clips on all of those channels. You can also purchase our Tennis Weekly merch. We do encourage you, especially to do this if you're attending the US Open, because we'd love to see your pictures with the merch. At Flushing Meadows, and you can purchase that at etsy.com/shop/Tennis Weekly podcast. You can also email the show tennisweeklypod@gmail.com or check out our website tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we'll be back on Thursday at Tennis Weekly HQ for our round two catch up of the US Open, brought to you by Fungiball. So I hope you could join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.